Well, good morning, Storehouse family. Here is your monthly video update for September. All right, guys, I hope that you are doing well. I got one giant update for you, and that is that we are probably moving. This might come as a shock to some of you, but 2 Sundays ago, we had a members meeting right after service where I walked us all through what is going on. In a couple of weeks, our time here at the incubator will be coming to an end. Our contract, our lease, ends in a few weeks and it's not being renewed. The incubator is looking at going in a different direction. They're looking at making some renovations here at this building, and so us, along with a few other tenants, our contracts are not being renewed. But that's another conversation for another time. The incubator has been more than generous with us over the last 5 years, where we've done everything from art walks, and we've seen tons of baptisms happen here, and people come to know Jesus here at the incubator, along with making friends with several of the tenants here who we dearly love and appreciate. So with that being said, here is the quick recap of what I gave y'all 2 Sundays ago. Number one, as of right now, our deadline is Saturday, October 1st. That's about 5 weeks from now. With that being said, I walked you through 3 categories regarding the plan that we're moving forward with. Number one, by the time you watch this video, actually, I will have already met with 3 pastors here in town who probably have extra building space. Our priority right now is a space for Sunday morning gathering and kids space. So by the time you see this, I'll give you guys another update on how those meetings went. So category number 1 would be established churches. Category number 2 would be buildings here in McAllen that would be both affordable and ready for us to move in. Now, with both of these 2 categories, there is a probability that we will be officing off-site somewhere in town. That's not so much of a concern, only because we've done that in the past. Once more, the priority right now is Sunday morning gathering and kids space. The third category are spots in a pinch. So we have a family here at Storehouse McAllen that has been incredibly generous to us and has offered us a small space to where we can meet for a short period of time until we get to where we need to be if we get in a pinch. The second option under, or the second listing under the pinch would be the incubator might give us an extension, just because we're not moving one suite, we're moving an entire church congregation. So we have all of our chairs, our stage, our lighting, a lot of things that actually require a lot of work for us to move out. So we might get an extension. So those are the 3 categories that we're looking at, and I'll keep you guys up to date on each one of them. 2 Sundays ago, I answered some of your questions, and one of the last questions I received was, what are the needs as we plan and move forward with this eventual move? And so that's really where I'll spend the most of my time. There are 3 needs that I want to communicate to y'all. Number 1 is pray. Prayer is going to be the biggest way that you can contribute to our church, right? Expecting God to show up and move and to give us an idea of where we're headed and where He's calling us to in our city, to what community He's calling us to. There's going to be more opportunities with gospel-centered truth, and so prayer is going to be the biggest way to contribute in this season. Number 2, as we move, one of the things that's going to be just such a foundation, such a lifeblood for our church are going to be community groups, right? Where we're meeting, we're gathering regularly, we're growing in our delight in God, and then we're multiplying as groups. And so that's going to be the next best thing for you. If you're not in a community group, let me encourage you to jump in, get connected in a community group so that we would be praying for one another, serving one another, discipling one another, all in our love and delight for Jesus. And then finally, the third need is to give. Every time we have moved, there are unforeseen costs that come up, whether that would be the space that we're looking at. I don't have quotes right now, I'm just suggesting that. Whether that would be the space that we look at, whether it would be getting a storage unit off-site, which we have one, but what if we need a bigger one? Or what if we need storage containers? There are all these little costs that tend to pop up every time we have had to move. In addition to that, because we had a strong spring and our summer was low, as far as giving is concerned, we didn't have to dip into our savings. But as we have walked into the fall, we are now beginning to dip into savings to increase certain line items in our budget. Predominantly, it's kids ministry, right? We have a lot of kids. 20% of our church consists of children, which is great, in which we have absolutely no problem increasing funds in kids ministry. But just to let you know, there are some expenses that we already foresaw where we're increasing that line item. Second one is some of our tech equipment. Many of you have been with us for many, many years, as early as the 2000s and the 2010s. And so some of the equipment that we've been using dates all the way back to that. And so we were already planning on replacing at least 2 computers. So we got some expenses that are coming up as we head into the fall, and particularly with this move, there are going to be some unforeseen costs that we will just experience. And so back to giving. If you have been giving generously, thank you. Thank you for giving graciously, generously, and faithfully. Here's what I'm going to ask of you. Would you prayerfully consider increasing your giving as we walk into this season and continue to do so? That's number one. Number two, if you're not giving, if you have not been giving, right? It's not just start giving, it is let me challenge you with what you say you believe about grace. Giving generously does not begin with our wallets. It begins with what we believe about grace. So man, would you prayerfully consider what you believe about grace, and may that lead you to action as far as giving generously goes. More updates are going to come your way. We might do these once a week, or we might just keep these updates to the monthly videos. But other than that, that's all I have for you. October 1st is the date that we're scheduled to head out of here. The 3 things, the 3 needs for you: prayer, community, and then finally giving generously. I know this video took a little bit longer than expected, but I wanted to make sure y'all had all of the details. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. That's all I have for you, Storehouse family. I love you. I'm praying for you. God's going to move in this season. We're expecting God to move in this season because that's what God does. And so may our hearts be inclined to Him as we walk into the rest of the fall semester. I love y'all, and I'll see you later.